Well, meanwhile, a tropical storm is brewing in the Caribbean Sea, and it could be headed for the U.S. Forecasters predict that the storm could be upgraded to a hurricane in the next few days in the Gulf of Mexico. CBS News weather producer David Parkinson is here. He's been tracking this storm. David, what is the latest?
So the latest is since this morning, we had an upgrade from a tropical depression to a tropical storm. It still doesn't look so hot on the satellite. You can see I've kind of spot shadowed it there, so you can see it's this area just off the coast of Nicaragua.
Okay.
It's going to continue to move to the north and west and just past the Yucatan. Now, the map that you see there on your screen right there, that's the forecast track from the National Hurricane Center. And the really big question right now is exactly where it's going to take place over the Yucatan Peninsula. And here's why.
Okay.
Because if it goes over the Yucatan Peninsula, it loses a little bit of steam. It's not over warm water. If it stays just off shore of the Yucatan, it's over warm water the entire time, and you're looking at something that can, as it gets into the Gulf, rapidly intensify into a Category 1, and that's what all the models have right now. But look, the storm's not that big. It's got plenty of warm water. There's no shear. There's no reason to see why it couldn't necessarily ramp up to a Category 2 or something more intense. So as of right now, if you are on the Gulf Coast, in anywhere where that cone is, so take a look at that cone right along from Louisiana to Florida. Take a look at that cone. If you are in it, you should be preparing for a hurricane to be making landfall, because you don't need to be right where the center is. You just need to be impacted by it.
You're saying it's what we've learned this year, I would say, is it's not just the red eye that you're looking at that's swirling around. It's that entire white swath that runs up, that if you're in that, pay attention.
Yeah, and anywhere in between those two yellow lines that we've got on that map there.
So when you're talking about time frame, what's the time frame we're looking at here?
So the time frame is you'll start to feel some of the effects Saturday afternoon into evening.
Okay.
And then we'll be looking at a landfall sometime Sunday morning into possibly early afternoon. It depends exactly where it hits. So if it hits in Grand Isle, let's say, which is further south, it'll be a couple hours earlier than if it were to make landfall in Gulfport or something like that. Keeping in mind that, you know, the population centers are a little bit inland, right? So New Orleans is a little bit inland from Grand Isle. Gulfport is obviously 30 or 40 miles north of that little part of Louisiana that sticks out. So when we talk about landfall, it's not necessarily who's going to be the population center. We're just talking about the first time the eye literally crosses land.
CBS News weather producer David Parkinson. Thank you, David.
Of course.